This is your dose of daily market wisdom with master trader Nick Santiago. Starting from humble beginnings, Nick has been beating the markets for over 2 decades. He shares with you his take on the profitable trades that will have you moving towards financial freedom in no time at all. To see an in-depth review of his track record and much more, go to inthemoneystocks.com.
Welcome. This is your daily dose of daily market wisdom with master trader Nick Santiago. I'm your host, Kerry Lutz. It is 7/24/23, show number 511. And Nick, we got starting out the day with a minor rally.
It's a minor rally. It's a Monday in the summertime, Kerry. You know, generally Monday sessions are usually filled with light volume, which helps to keep the markets buoyant. So that's what we have going on today. But this is a big, big week coming up. And I think everybody should brace themselves for that because we have a lot of stuff going on here, especially with the central banks. On Wednesday, we get the FOMC rate decision. Then after that, we get the ECB and then the Bank of Japan. So you got 3 different central banks reporting this week. And then, this Wednesday when the Fed reports, everybody's expecting a 1/4 point rate hike. That hike is baked into the cake, so the verbiage is going to be important. That's what's going to move the markets. And you have a lot of other things out here, economic data as well.
All right. So we're expecting this rate hike. The 2-year note is still below the Fed funds rate.
That's correct. The 2-year Treasury note yield is around 4.85%. So that gives the Fed a little wiggle room right now. The current Fed funds rate, I believe, is 5 to 5.25. They put that 1/4% window in there, that 1/4 point window in there. But as long as the 2-year Treasury note yield is below as long as the 2-year yield is below the Fed funds rate, the market basically looks for the Fed to cut or to pause. And that's been the reason why we've seen a rally. I'm particularly not in that camp. I don't believe that. I believe that the 2-year floating around 4.85 to 5% eventually even goes higher in due time. And once that happens, that's the end of your rally. That's the start of another big decline. And I think that's coming soon. So we want to definitely pay attention to that 2-year Treasury note yield. Kerry, the funny thing is I brought that up on this program well over a year ago.
Years ago.
Yeah. And, now you're starting to see the talking heads on television bring it up and they start to talk about it. But, we were talking about this before anybody, really.
Yeah, well, a lot of things like nat gas, which we're going to talk about, even though it's not on our agenda. First, earnings season heats up this week. We got a bunch of them from the big FANG stocks.
That's right. We have earnings from Microsoft, Google, Meta, and lots of other companies, besides the big and mega cap names. So buckle up. It's going to be a wild one out here, I believe, with earnings, especially starting this week where really tomorrow we just start getting hundreds of companies reporting.
Yeah. And that's that quarterly procession. Really, it's been so destructive to corporate America, having to go quarter by quarter, which is an irrelevant measure. It's really year to year to year and 5-year periods, 3-year periods. Quarterly too short, but that's the declining attention span of investors, right?
That is. And, if you go every 3 months, like they have it now, it's just so hard, I would assume, for companies to get everything in line. You try to, they really go down to like accounting tricks. How many times have we seen a company beat by a penny and, match revenues, right? That's the old GE trick, right? We've seen that for years and years. IBM, GE, all those guys, they were doing that for so long. So, that's what happens when you do this quarterly stuff.
Right. So one earnings report that came out last week, of course, was Tesla. It outperformed in earnings and revenues and earnings. I mean, there's always sketchy items in every company's earnings report. And also in sales, they were way ahead of the prior year. And of course, the stock promptly went down. And, that reminded me of another stock that did that, buy the rumor, sell the news, right? Apple, right?
That's right. And, you got to remember Tesla was once upon a time, if you go back to late last year or even early this year, stock was $110. It ran up to $300. So $300 and you go into an earnings report, the general thought is, not everything's going to be in NVIDIA. The general consensus is to buy the rumor and sell the news.
Yeah. So buy the rumor, sell the news. And that's clearly what we're seeing now. It's down to like 260. So it's down really compared to the run up. It's really insignificant, isn't it? I mean,
it's not even a big deal. And if you're looking at the daily chart, 235 level was the last major pivot in June. Then after that, you go down to around 220. That's another very, very big level, the low 220. So, I wouldn't expect the stock to really take those levels out, but to get a retracement down to those levels, that's natural. It's nothing really harmful, to be honest with you. And it's better than the stock going parabolic because, it went parabolic going into the earnings announcement. And look what happened. You're going to come back down.
Yeah, totally agree. So we have to talk about Nat Gas, another one of your prescient calls here. It's trading over $3 now.
Yeah, it's right around there. If you're looking at the current, depending on what contract you look, we're probably at around 270 at the moment. But the pattern on Nat Gas has just been a series of higher lows, and that's what you want to see. I've been telling my group that the pattern is based on the monthly chart, and you have to wait. Sometimes we just become so accustomed to Nat Gas or any equity, going from 10 to 2 and then turning the corner and going right back up. This has turned the corner already. It's put its low in, believe it or not, all the way back in February. And, now slowly grinding higher. But when I see patterns like this, Kerry, especially on a daily and weekly basis, this is what I call accumulation. And I believe the big guys are accumulating it here. And when they break it out above, that 310 is probably the breakout level. You'll get a short squeeze in this and it'll go a lot higher. So we're just in the beginning makings of Nat Gas. In my opinion, I think it's bottomed out already. It doesn't mean it's not going to have big pullbacks or anything like that. But I like Nat Gas going forward.
Hey, same here. Big Nat Gas bull. And let's not neglect the fact that Warren Buffett bought one of only 7 LNG terminals, which are used to export nat gas overseas. They used to be used to import it, but then we had the fracking boom. Now we have more nat gas than we know what to do with. I was talking to a guy, former nat gas trader. He was saying that they're shutting in wells again. So they've cut back in the face of lower prices. Last year at $10, every nat gas well in North America was producing that could.
Well, there you go. And, I don't even look at the fundamental side of things, right? For me, it's purely technicals. And, when it got down to that 2 level, I said, wow, this is a great time to own it. I mean, I've been in and out of it several times, but on every dip I go back in, and I'm currently in it now. So, when I look at these patterns like this, I've seen these patterns many, many times. These accumulation pattern. Like I said, you break certain levels and it's not that far away. You'll get the squeeze in this thing and you'll start to see it move up in a big way. Right now, we're still not there yet, but the setup is there.
Yeah, the setup is definitely there. And I think we're at 270 something on the spot. So I misspoke, but obviously heading over $3 in the not too distant future. And we see all across the country here record heat waves, or at least maybe not record, but major heat wave.
Yeah, it's definitely hot in a lot of places. And, that's the primary source. People seem to forget too, though, Kerry, is that the electric grid uses nat gas. I mean, predominantly. So, and you need, nat gas produces over 3,000 products that are in the world as well. So, to think like it, I know in New York, they're going to ban gas stoves in new apartment buildings and stuff like that. I mean, that's a little bit silly, but, overall, you need nat gas. It's viable energy. It's probably one of the cleaner energies too, as far as pollution goes. But, the setup is there. The chart looks good. And, I think we're rounding the corner here to go a lot further to the upside.
Hey, well, I'm going to go into the business of smuggling nat gas stoves into the blue states, into New York. I think California is doing it because it's safer than smuggling other stuff, like cigarettes and, self-defense tools. And I don't know how they ban it, but hey, and they could be used. I don't think they can stop the sale of used stoves, only new stoves, but we'll see. Hey, gold, silver, what's the deal today?
Yeah, so today we have gold basically flat, minor pullback as we speak. Silver, though, is pulling back a little bit more, but it's had a big run up. The dollar is also very strong today. So you have the U.S. dollar index making a pretty good rebound really over the course of, several days. So when you see that, you just respect it. Dollar's had a good little bounce here over the last five, 6 trading sessions, and that's backing off gold and silver. But remember, we said, right on this program, I gave the upside. I said 1985 would be where gold goes. It pierced that level by just a few points, and now you're back to 1960. So again, it's going to be important to watch the pattern here for gold. It's a very important time period. You have a lot of geopolitical events going on, and the dollar is moving around pretty fast up and down. So we'll keep an eye on the pattern. But for now, as long as you stay below that 1985. Gold could pull back a bit further.
All right. Hey, Bitcoin futures selling off. I want to just state for the record, I sold off my position once it broke well under 30,000 because I just said that's the magic number right now.
It's a pretty important one, but I'm going to tell you something that happened with Bitcoin. Today it is down about almost 3%. But here's something that happened on Friday. Friday, we get the Commitment of Traders report out every Friday afternoon. I go hunting for that report. I want to see it. And the commercial money had a huge long position as of late, the last several weeks. And they cut that position dramatically this week. So they cut their long position. They're still net long, but just by, a small amount of contracts versus short. But they're still net long, but they cut a dramatic amount of their long position. Now, this is a major change from the prior report. And as I always tell my members, the commercial money may not be right away. They're always early to the party, sometimes by 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes by less. Now, we haven't had Bitcoin futures around that long, but I've been tracking it for as long as it has been around. And I will tell you this, the commercial money has been on target every single time. They actually moved that market and they cut a big long position. So they're just slightly long versus short, and I think everybody should be aware of that.
Hey, Nick, let's not forget, like for the past month, all this hype's been coming in, Fidelity, all these funds, ETFs, and it's just going to push Bitcoin up to the sky again. And then when you see where they actually, what they do with their money, you find out not so much.
That's right. And, like we talked about just a week or two, even longer, they're going to saturate product out here. That's what they always do, right? So you don't just get one Bitcoin product. You're going to get, a half dozen or a dozen Bitcoin products, and you'll just saturate product. And then the market will decide which one is the favored product over one over another. But, again, everybody gets caught up in the hype. Like I said, the pattern is bullish still on a weekly chart basis. The daily, not so much. That 30,000 level was pretty critical. So even if you pop up, you only go to like 32,700, 32,500. That was kind of my ceiling for the move anyway. But now we are seeing Bitcoin come under pressure. So I'm really curious to see what the commercial money is going to say this week.
Yes, it will be interesting to see. And, my feeling is it just has been lingering around that 30,000, went above it a little while. Now it keeps going up and down. So, hey, maybe hits mid-20s and we see the dynamics change. Maybe I'll be buying again. But, hey, that's the way it works. I actually took a nice profit on it. I'm not going to say how much, but enough to buy my friend's dinner. Just put it that way. So,
that's never a bad thing, Kerry. Sharing the wealth.
Definitely not. So, hey, that's it for today. Make sure you go to Nick's site, inthemoneystocks.com, see his extensive trading record, how he's beaten the averages for decades, the Twitter feeds at ITMS, at Nick Santiago 01, at Kerry Lutz. Emails are welcome, kl@kerrylutz.com. Write your comments on the YouTube channel below. Nick, we'll try to catch up with you on Wednesday. I'm at a conference. I'm at the Rickroll conference in Boca. So if any of you are out there, reach out, say hello. Got my name tag on. Nick, we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good, Kerry.